Now with you, we go to what we have on our various dailies there before we get to our Mashujaa Day celebration conversation there happening down in Kirinyaga as well as here in studio. All systems go. Now, I have a copy of the Standard just to give you a sneak peek of what has captured the eyes of the scribe this morning. It's matters of politics run up to the general elections 2022. So Ruto warns UDA aspirants against chaotic campaigns and says that the electorate should be the decision makers at the end of the day. Talking about business, it seems that our uptake of export goods is going up, and there's a demand for that. As such, the EPZ firms have hired an extra 7,400 new staff as those exports jump. That's a good move in as far as business is concerned. On our main story on the front page of the Standard this morning, and it's talking about matters politics. Uhuru to Mount Kenya. Wait for my signal. Wait for my signal. That's quite cheeky there for the reporter there to, or the scribe there to go for that. Ngojea signal. Ngojea nini? Ngojea signal. That's a message from President Uhuru Kenyatta to Mount Kenya there. Remember, there's been a lot of talk. So who is going to take after President Uhuru Kenyatta after his term expires on August 8th? August 9th to be precise. So who is going to fill his shoes? As far as the president is concerned, he says to his Mount Kenya persons, where he's domiciled, that is, you need to wait for my signal. So the president has reignited debate on the succession politics and has urged restless mountain to wait for his signal. This is a mountain that for the last few months, we came to learn that is divided, with the coronation of National Assembly Speaker there, Justin Muturi, and the subsequent, conversation around various leaders, cultural leaders there, saying that he is not yet ready for that position. But he maintains, and also with the latest poll that we have, that he's the most favorable person to come in as deputy president. So we are waiting for the president's signal. That's a message from President Uhuru Kenyatta now that the mountain is the voters' hunting ground. Talking about hunting grounds, we had ODM leader Raila Odinga in Meru, and this is just him continuing to push for the top seat. And we had been told over the years, and this is a conversation that also has been held here, both on our, morning interviews on Good Morning Kenya and Iron Politics, as well as our other political shows. The conversation has always been that, the mountain can never be open to Raila. But what we have seen over the last few weeks, last few months, well, this is turning out to be a fallacy. So indeed, these are interesting times in as far as matters politics are concerned. That is what we have on the front page of the Standard. Doreen?
All right, coming to the People's Daily this Tuesday, just looking at how the front page of this paper looks like. And of course, we begin from that note on political matters. And this is particular in Kwale County. Remember, there was a turf between the former journalist there, that is Mwanaisha Chizuga, with her brother on who will succeed the mom come 2022 general election. But now, as it stands, also there are those that have at least declared their bid to fly on the UDA ticket. I remember that also the DP mentioned that the nominations will be free and fair, and whoever brings scales will be deflected from that party. So that is what is happening in Kwale County when it comes to matters general elections, that is 2022 elections. And also to a bit of some education matters, the university lecturers now threaten to down their tools, and this is over Park's impasse. That is lecturers from the Dedan Kimathi University of Technology also saying that their colleagues have at least gotten some of these increments, but for them that hasn't quite happened, and this is a total of about 200 lecturers who are threatening to down their tools there. Coming to what is happening on the roads, given that these days lately we've been having a lot of articles just trying to show what the state has been doing in terms of rehabilitating, expanding, as well as trying to ensure that Kenyans are safe on most of our roads. And this is particular in Naivasha, whereby Kenha has now moved to erect speed bumps on that particular busy highway. Nakuru, Nairobi, as you head over to areas around Naivasha there, and this is because over the past few months, a total of about, 30 people going, but these articles have lost their lives just from that particular area. And also residents around that area had complained because of lacking of those speed bumps, which at least reduce the number of accidents on most of this major roads. So that is why Kenha has erected speed bumps along that area to reduce on that. And also coming to that case, which is still actually, you know, in the courts in regards to Tirop's murder, whose husband has been arraigned. And actually yesterday, the elders were just performing some of those cultural and traditional rites in that particular home, and they also barred the husband from attending this funeral, saying that the matter is still in court and it has to follow the due process. So that is also what is happening in regards to that. And we also have the president hinting at ending the countrywide curfew. Just mentioned this yesterday as he was heading to the sides of Kirinyaga to celebrate the 58th Mashujaa Day celebration, and he hinted at perhaps ending the nationwide curfew. Didn't quite put a specific time to it, just hinted on it. But again, also remember that this comes after the health CS, that is Mutai Kagwe, had announced an extension of that particular curfew. That was on October 4th. So meaning 30 days supposed to end around November 4th, 5th there. But also there's a catch to it that this will also be informed by the number of persons who will be vaccinated. Remember that also the state is in a bid to vaccinate about 10 million Kenyans by December, and at least by tomorrow around 5.8 million, and they are trying to hit that 1.6 million mark to ensure they get to that 5.8 million Kenyans. And also shame of 70 MPs misusing bursary funds. This comes after there was an outcry from parents just saying that their children had been sent home, and this is again after the directive from the ministry saying that students need not to be sent home, that teachers and parents need to find an amicable way to continue sustaining students in school. But now it just comes out that after all that actually there are some 70 MPs who've been misusing this bursary funds, and this is what has been leading to a lot of these students being sent at home because of lack of school fees. In a nutshell, that is how the People's Daily looks like this Tuesday. Wambui.
All right, let's now move on to the Daily Nation. Let me just run you through the front page. Some of the stories have already been looked at, but starting with that note on, and let me just quickly hand it over back to Ray or Doreen. We get started with the details. All right, there we are. Let's run through the front page of the Daily Nation. Picking up on that particular note on education, there is a piece here that has been featured on the back page of the Daily Nation concerning examination centers after the ministry did put out some new guidelines in regards to the registration of KCPE and KCSE candidates. Now 162 exam centers will be closed following these policy changes, and one of the policy changes that actually resulted in the closing of this 162 centers is the requirement to have at least not less than 40 candidates registered to these particular centers, and as a result 162 schools have fallen short of this 40 candidate rule, and 24 of them being secondary schools and 138 being primary schools, which now means that they will have to register their candidates in neighboring schools. And in as much as looking at the candidates that have been registered so far, they have increased by 112,000 as compared to the candidates that were registered in 2020. All right, still in politics, which is actually the main read here on this front page. On the warpath, this is the raging war of words between the president and the deputy president makes up for the main read here on the front page. Again, at the top header there, Raila goes for the hearts of voters in Meru region as Ruto moves to quell tension in UDA at the coast. And just coming to the details of this particular stories, Ruto moves to quell tension among Coast UDA hopefuls, and this is especially in regards to the disgruntled supporters, with many claiming that there are officials who have been favored or receiving favors from some particular members, but the DP cleared the air, saying nominations will be free, fair and democratic. Nobody will be given a free ride, and there will be no direct nominations unless they have only one candidate in that particular situation. But when you talk about the Mount Kenya region, you know, Ray, you had mentioned DP Ruto had said, you know, Mount Kenya Ikosawa, he has already secured his standing there. But as per the latest poll, we have seen his popularity is decreasing while former Premier's popularity is increasing. But on the flip side, remember, we are still on this mass voter registration process with the IEBC. But concern has been raised as central voters ignore the registration drive. So far, statistics that were released late yesterday indicate that the commission has only registered 491,968 new voters against a target of 3 million voters that were hopefully expected to register during this new drive to heavily contribute to the 6 million that was projected by the IEBC. And among the areas that have the highest voter apathy, that is leading is actually Nyeri, where they have only registered, Nyeri has only registered 5,380 new voters against a targeted or projected 149,000, and in total they have only recorded 15,286 new votes against the projected 230 individuals that were expected to have registered so far, contributing to only 13% of the expected new voter registration. So this is something that is raising concern, especially where the commission is involved. There's a lot of voter apathy, and Mount Kenya seems to be leading when it comes to this particular scenario that we are witnessing. Ray.
Maybe this could be a feeling from the fact that, you know, there's been a lot of push and pull, and we're experiencing, you know, different times, given that now the mountain, you know, is a rich, or rather the voters hunting ground, something that has not happened in our history. But as you say, a day in politics is quite a long time. Talking about voter apathy, just Kenyans need to know one thing. It is your democratic right to cast a ballot. Then also, if you fail to, it essentially means that you have not picked a side or taken a decision in as far as what is going on, the democratic process underway, and that is the elections. So you have really no much say according to the leadership that is going to be given, because as they say, you know, while we say the majority will have their way, the minority always has their say. So we need to practice that. If you haven't registered, remember the target for IBC, the registry body and the election body, there is 6 million new voters. If you haven't, you need to, so that when we are having this conversation at the 10th of August 2022, you have a say. You'll say, you know what, I woke up early, I cast my ballot for you, you have not delivered. Over the years, because there are people who say, ata sikupiga kura, and then what value are you adding? You know, we need to. So, but it's actually worrying. It is actually very, very worrying that we're having voter apathy. And talking about votes is that now IEBC has awarded a Greek company tender to print the ballot papers. And so this particular firm is a multi-million shillings tender for the supply and delivery of ballot papers and register of voters. And this Greek firm is Inform Pilaikos SA Holdings. The tender will also include statutory election result declaration forms to be used in the polling station. So among the companies that had, you know, shown interest include the United Arab Emirates Al Ghurair Printing and Publishing LLC and Marsa Printing and Publishing. Just to remind, when you talk about Al Ghurair, they're the ones who printed the last election papers there. Remember, there was so much that was coming into play during that time, that these ballot papers cannot be duplicated, they are serialized and such. So these details, or rather the security details of these particular ballot papers, will also be made, you know, available to the public, so that when that time comes and you're casting your ballot, when you look at the ballot itself, at the vote itself, the paper, you actually know that you are inking the correct document to have your say, if not your way, during that election process. So according to the IEBC, it expects that 25 million Kenyans will be voting in next year's poll. And I think this is a question that if Victor was here, he would help us answer. In light of this voter apathy, is 25 million too much of a target when it comes to IEBC and the voting that is going to be taking place in August the 9th, 2022?
But then you remember, Regina, when it comes to some of these national drives, you always, as a Kenyan population, we tend to be last-minute people. So I think let's just wait and see towards the final week of this whole registration, which is actually next week. We see if there will be a higher turnout of people as opposed to what we are seeing right now. And maybe then we can be able to answer that question, is 25 million too high a target?
But also, again, remember the IEBC said they are not going to extend it to any further 30 days. So come forth.
But requests will come.
Yeah, come. And actually, they mentioned this in front of the parliamentarians. So come forth if you've not registered as a voter. Again, they put this on the issue of finances, lack of enough money. So it just means that perhaps Kenyans have between today, the remaining days up until fall, to actually register as voters. But again, as we're having this conversation and perhaps trying to talk about that 25 million mark, and like Regina is trying to say, that just go and cast your vote, your ballot nonetheless. There's always that question of Kenyans saying, hata nikipiga kura, ni nini itafanyika? But remember, it is your constitutional right. So if you will sit there in the next 2 years and complain of a government you didn't even go to vote for, whether they are working or not working, then from what basis will you be complaining about? So just go ahead and get registered as a voter, and come August next year, go cast your ballot. Perform your constitutional right. Okay, so as we move away from IEBC, perhaps you can still stick through with politics, and this in regards to eyeing the mountain. We know that there's a recent poll by Mizani Africa just showing how the DP is still the popular one when it comes to the mountain, and closely followed by the former premier, that is Raila Odinga. And also they have given various reasons as to why that is panning out in that particular way, and just saying that of course they understand that the ODM leader is making inroads in the vote-rich region, but from also their findings, they have established that most of the young people are still stuck with the deputy president, while the elderly have decided to back Odinga. And also the other reason as to why the DP is also popular in the mountain is because they're justifying Ruto's lead. The poll, which was conducted between October 1st and 10th in the 11 Mount Kenya counties, said the second in command has been consistent in the engagement with people on the grassroots, perhaps just trying to justify the bottom-up economic approach. Clearly, we are seeing, various politicians making inroads in various areas, and mostly in most of these areas that are regarded as rich vote areas. Still speaking of the same, perhaps trying to look a bit on the politics in Kwale County. As I had mentioned earlier, there's a bit of a tough between Mwanaisha there with her brother on who will succeed the mom. But again, also there are those that have come out to popularize their bid in terms of running for the governor, senator, or women representative in that particular counties, and both of them just trying to say they are going to fly on the UDA ticket. And these are key politicians in Kwale County who have sent signals that they will fight for DP Ruto's UDA ticket in 2022 general elections. Ruto has for the past 5 days pitched tent at the coast, rallying support for his presidential bid from one of the regions expected to provide swing votes. So that is the coast area, just again one of those rich areas when it comes to votes there. And also the two candidates have so far declared they will fight for the governorship using the party. 3 for the position of senator, women representative 5, while 16 using the UDA party ticket will fight for the National Assembly seat. So these are just some of the people that have declared their bid in contesting for the 2022 general elections on various seats. But also again, as it comes out, the DP had mentioned that the nominations will be free and fair, and whoever brings chaos will be deflected from that party. Wambui.
Now, let us come to this particular piece here, all in preparation for the Mashujaa Day celebrations that will be happening in Kirinyaga County tomorrow. Now, Kirinyaga county is known to be an economic hub, and looking at Ngurubaini town, which had been, according to this particular piece, abandoned for decades. In terms of development, over the past recent months, it has undergone a massive renovations, and to these residents, there's one who has been quoted here saying that they are so impressed by the immense developments that have taken place in the town, and especially so given it's a very busy town. Now, this particular town, it will be the host for the Madaraka Day. Where am I going back? The Mashujaa Day celebrations that will be happening tomorrow. And as a result, the national government directed a lot of funds. An estimated 300 million Kenya shillings was directed to the construction of the new stadium, which will be playing host for the Mashujaa celebration. It has been termed to be a stadium of international standards, where the president, of course, will preside over the celebrations. And among many other developments that have been tied to this particular construction of the stadium, as well as the Mashujaa Day celebrations, the Moya airstrip has been upgraded and fenced off, just to give the head of state a safe landing when he will be arriving tomorrow. The residents have also applauded the government for making sure that they have taken care of them as a town, and one actually said that the kind of development which has taken place has never been witnessed anywhere in this region since independence. They went to say that we enjoy the tarmac roads, clean water, clean streets, security lights, the drainage systems have also been unblocked, and now they are enjoying a clean environment and healthy one to work in as well. And of course, this is also part of the governor's infrastructural development projects for the particular county. So as we gear up for the celebrations, and of course Victor will be joining us in a bit to see how far we have come, how the grounds are looking, to get the actual pictures and sounds of some of these developments that have been captured on this particular story. Regina.
Well, on that note, we take a quick breather. We'll be right back.